everybody, welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, and or evening, whichever part of the world you're in. As I said, I would have like a really quick gorilla stream, if I'm even saying that correctly. I don't know. But if you had questions about how to buy a car and what to look out for, so just real quick, I have my dad here real quick just to tell y'all probably about like oh I was listening to my playback real quick. Anyways, I know some of y'all aren't here. You'll probably catch the VOD later. That's fine. Anyways, so for some that haven't seen like any of like my lore scripts, so the name that my dad decided to go with was Saint Valentine because my VTuber name is Antonia Valentine. Ignore the whole VTuber thing if you like. This is just really quick car tips on what to look out for. Hi Bryant, welcome. Just really quick tips to look out for when you're buying a car, and yeah. Anyways, I'll let my dad introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. Thought I'd help out a little bit. I know I get a lot of questions from my kids and people that I know, like, hey, what did I do when I'm looking for a new car? Because in my past, I used to buy cars, use them for a while, and then sell them, basically like a flipper. So I had many experiences of different kinds of cars, problems I ran into, and things to look out for. So I thought I'd just share that with you guys today.
Okay, so the main thing I already kind of wrote down like some basic stuff, but the main thing for sure we're gonna start off with is which cars like you just do not want straight up.
You know, there's a lot of cars out there that everybody says, oh, they're awesome, they're good cars, and so on. If you're just looking for a good, reliable mode of transportation, I'm not talking a hot rod or anything like that, just something that you can use every day that you have very little issues with. Some cars to avoid, which I tend to avoid. I guess I'll just start naming some off. I mean, I probably wouldn't buy a Ford, any of them. I know I'll hurt a lot of people's feelings with that, but I've owned probably about 4 or 5 of them. I've had zero luck out of those 4 or 5. I would really trust probably the older Fords compared to the new ones. They just seem to be having issues. I have friends, I have family that owns them, and they always seem to be have something wrong with them. So, you know, if you're looking for a car, you don't have one, I'd probably stay away from Ford just to begin with. I'm sure there's some good models out there, but for the most part, I stay away. Kias, I would stay away from too. They sometimes do have some issues, and then the parts, believe it or not, are kind of expensive and they're pretty pricey to work on. What do we got? Some Fiats, I would stay away from. Mini Coopers, I know they look good and all the girls love them. They look cool. Yeah, you buy one and you get to the point where they start needing work, and you'll start spending more money on them than the vehicle's worth. Like I said, a good point of view is just pull one up and, you know, pull up on Marketplace, see what they're valued, and you'll see like a 2010 Mini Cooper for like $2,500. You know, something's wrong. Something's going on with that. If you want a good car, I'd probably stick with Toyotas, Nissans, Chevys. For the most part, they're pretty good. A good thing to keep in mind is there is a model that you kind of like and you have an eye on. Kind of, you know, Google it, type it in. Problems with certain year. You know, maybe they're buying a 2010 and said, hey, you know, I want a 2010, I don't know, Cobalt or whatever it is. Type it in, common problems, and everything pulls up. Luckily, we have the internet to help us. Well, let's see. We got females minis have pretty bad electrical. They do. I think the minis, I mean, they're part of BMW, which their drivetrain was good, but electrical, I think, is British. For the most part, they skimped out on a lot of the electrical shielding. So there's a lot of issues with it. Either not making a good connection or making connections where it's not supposed to. So yeah, I mean, I've heard Fiats and Minis, for the most part, the electrical, bad news. And once it starts, I mean, to track it down, sometimes you'll never find it.
And then I had a quick question. I forgot to say this. I know people say it as in the beginning. What makes you certified as a car guy and as a dad to give advice to people about this?
Well, all I can give you is advice as a car guy and a dad. I've always loved cars. I've had very many of them. And for the most part, I'm old school. I'd rather buy an old car that has, roll up windows and nothing electrical. And sometimes I drive in them with the windows down, no radio on. Hell, for the most part, I just keep a radio, fill the hole in the dash. But, it is what it is. As far as a dad, I've been on this earth for quite a while and I've given a lot of advice, and a lot of it you have to learn by experience. So, yeah, you take the good and the bad and you learn from it. So I just thought I'd here share with it.
Okay, next question. So we went through the cars. Where would you find a used car? I know we normally don't get new cars. We usually go for the used cars. Where's a good place that people get it?
I mean, to look for a used car, they're all over. Of course, it's Craigslist Marketplace, the used car lots, the dealerships, and so on. It's kind of more dependent on your, how much you have to spend. Uh, for somebody that has very little knowledge of vehicles, it's almost more recommended to pay a little bit more at the dealer, but you're going to get a lot better car because the dealer will go through it and inspect it and try to take care of whatever it needs to. Yes, you spend a little bit more, but you have a sense of relief that it should be a better car. Now, if you got a little bit of knowledge and maybe a lower budget, uh, I would recommend, any source you can get online, any of the CarMax, any of the dealerships, especially like I said, even on the smaller dealerships, if you go, make sure they're legit. I mean, look at them. I mean, if it's like a mom and pop on the corner, you're probably not going to get a good car. They're just kind of flipping cars just for the money. Um, it is true you get what you pay for, so you might have to spend a little bit more and get a little bit better car. Also, the most important is just basically do your research over and over and over. Pick the car you want. Don't buy it on the first instinct because, it's like an impulse buy. Oh, I love it. Looks great, smells good. Let me drive it. Walk away. Take a day at least to pull it up, see if there's any issues that are common to the vehicle. Make sure you inspect the car. Make sure you're at the right price point that you want to spend, and take a look at it. Any vehicle I have purchased, no matter where it's at the dealership, private owner, or even at auctions, the way I look at it is, what are you willing to spend for that vehicle? And I always have a budget of $2,000 over the price I'm paying. I'm expecting something to be wrong, and whatever price I'm paying, I accept the fact that I'm going to spend another $2,000 to make it how I need it.
Okay. Oh, so Fei Long says my dad unfortunately told his 2006 Tundra about 2 weeks ago from a guy cutting him off on the highway in snowy conditions. Because of that, he's sort of been shopping around. Okay, so we'll get into more questions along the way. Hopefully that'll help you. So Fei Long actually lives up north where there's a lot of snow.
Well, if you are shopping for cars, and especially up north where there's a lot of snow, I mean, there's a lot of issues with, they salt the roads to clear out the ice and put sand out there for traction. Unfortunately, when you drive on there, that salt gets on the vehicles and starts rusting away. Probably the biggest thing up north for the vehicles, or even on the east coast or west coast, where the oceans are, there's a lot of rusting. Basically, vehicles eat from the inside out. Double check whenever you are getting a vehicle, no matter what vehicle it is, check the frame. Look underneath. There's some structural parts that are important that they should be on there. And then there's some that, yeah, you can live with. Just depends on the price of the vehicle. But like I said, no matter what you're paying for it, you got to get underneath it. Get a flashlight, get on the ground if you have to, inspect the frame. If it is cracked, if it's, rotting away, if it's rusty, you just stay away from it. Just go to the next car. No matter, it might be good for the next 6 months, but do you want to just throw away your money for the next 6 months?
Okay, so our next question, we did the where. Let's see, auction dealer. Okay, oh, you had mentioned about insurance and the co-parts. So what do you mean about the insurance cars?
Well, there's auctions you can go to. There's dealer auctions. If you're lucky enough to know somebody that is a dealer that can get you in there, of course, the vehicles would be 20-30% lower than they would be out on the street. But there's also places like Copart and so on that will sell damaged vehicles. Uh, If you know a little bit about cars and you kind of know what to look like, or you have friends in the business, I'd recommend it. For a newbie or somebody that has no experience with any vehicles, I'd kind of probably steer away from it. There are dealers that will buy those, fix them up, and sell them, and maybe at that point you can do it. But you shouldn't be able, you shouldn't kind of be tempted on those at first.
Okay. I didn't say hi to everybody. Hi, Phelan. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Papa. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Ty. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so when you're looking at a car, what are you looking for? I guess the basic questions you want to ask first, like the mileage about the car.
Well, when you see them listed anywhere, I'm just going to use Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is just a common because there's so many vehicles on there. Look at it, all the pictures you can. When you call them, ask for information. First thing you're going to ask for, of course, is the mileage. How many miles does the vehicle have? Second question is, is the title under your name? The reason I say if it's under your name is because there's a lot of people are buying vehicles to flip them. And that will answer a bunch of other questions in case they answer yes or no at that point. If they do own it, you ask them how long have you had it, why are you selling it. Everybody's selling a vehicle for some reason. Either it has issues or they're upgrading. That's all important to find out to know the condition of the vehicle. And like I said, when they tell you, no, it's not under my name, I'm selling it for so-and-so and so-and-so, you lose a lot of information. You don't know the basically vehicle history from it on a personal level. Also, if there's anything wrong with it, usually the guys that are flipping cars will put a band-aid on it just to sell it, and they're not going to tell you the truth. So you'll find out a lot afterwards.
Let's see the title. Okay, so what about, we're getting into like the physical things you should be looking out for a car. Let's see. So on the outside, what are you looking for outside when you first see it?
It's a lot telling when you walk up to the car. There's a lot of things I do that are normal to me that I guess people haven't experienced or know what to look for. I mean, you look at a car, first thing you look at is see if any of the body panels, see if it's in good condition. See if any of the body panels are toned off one color, one way or another. That's just going to tell you if it's been an accident or not. The other thing you can look for is a lot of places that do a cheap paint job, they won't really mask it too well, so you'll see overspray on the windows, on any of the rubber, any of that. So that's all tall tales of whether the car's been in an accident or not. I mean, I walk up to cars and people say, "Oh, I'm the owner, never been in an accident," blah blah blah, and I look up and there's like overspray on the window seal and all that. So that's automatically a lie. You just want to make sure there's no damage. I mean, there's a lot of vehicles that can be repaired, doesn't mean they've been repaired correctly. And the last thing you want to do is find out about it after you've very paid for it and driven away and it's yours. Other things to look for, make sure you just automatically look underneath the car, check the frame, make sure there's nothing missing. Check for all underneath the engine to see if there's stuff leaking. There's always leaking something on some vehicles, but I mean, if it's completely soaked, you're going to have to fix it. There's going to be issues. Also look around the bumper areas to see if they've been changed out. Sometimes wrecked vehicles are on the front or in the back. They'll have crushed areas and they really don't repaint them underneath. So that's another good way to look at. Also look at the condition of the car. See how clean it is, because some people say, oh, you know what, it has very low mileage. You look inside and it's trashed out. They have dirty carpets, cigarette buds all over, and that's a good telltale sign of how well they took care of the car. Because if the car is dirty in the inside and they didn't maintain it on the outside, you sure as heck know they didn't maintain the engine or do any maintenance on it. So that's another thing to look for.
Okay, so we got the outside. All right, how about now we're getting into inside of the car. I know you mentioned the water reservoir and the dipstick. This is real. I'm not joking. I'm really not joking. If you're a car person, you'll know what this is.
It's a standard thing. As soon as you look at a vehicle, you open up the hood and you have to look at it. First thing is just kind of skim over what the engine compartment looks like, make sure there's no wire sticking out of it. You see some horror stories out there. You open it up and stuff looks out of place. They might have put aftermarket stuff and not doing a good job on it. or you see different colored wires stretching from one side to the other, that means they probably had something electrical wrong with it and they're trying to put a band-aid on it to fix it. Make sure you just pull that dipstick out to check the oil. You're looking for oil, just basically basic oil. Have it be black. You don't want anything like a milkshake, which means, you know, you can have a bad head gasket. You don't want it gummy. That means they never changed the oil. And it's also another thing to look for if it's like fresh, like they just changed it. Sometimes I've seen people do where there's an issue with the vehicle and they might have blown head gasket and they change the oil right before they show the vehicle. So it is like sparkling fresh. That's just a little red flag to watch out for. Make sure you also open up the reservoir for the water or even the radiator if you can get to it. I know some of the new vehicles are sealed and you can't do that. But if you can open it, look at it. It should, you know, it should be red or it should be green. And take a look at it. I've seen some where it's brown or sludgy. If it's brown and sludgy, you got a leak in the cooling system, which you're going to have to track down. You're all going to have to pay. And depending on how long they ran it like that, it can cause issues to your radiator, your complete cooling, also your the heater inside the car, because the heater core will be plugged up. So, you know, basic things: check the water, see how it is, check the oil, see how it is, and look for anything obvious in the engine compartment. See if there's any out of the place wires that are running from one place to another, because that's somebody's band-aid fix instead of fixing it correctly.
Okay, so we got that one. Got dipstick, got the water. Let's see. We already talked about up north. Okay, what are we looking for inside of the vehicle? Like when you're in it with all the, when you're sitting inside of the
You know, take the time, look around, look at the back, look at the seats, see how in good condition they are. Like I said, not really are you concerned whether you can live with it or not. You're just checking to see how much effort the previous owner took in keeping the car clean. The cleaner it is, that means they took pride in it and they would do more maintenance. So that means if it's clean inside, it's probably clean inside the engine where they did maintenance on it. Make sure you turn the car on. Look at the dashboard. Make sure as soon as you get in there, you can actually turn the key once, and all the lights will light up on the dash. And make sure you see all the lights light up, because sometimes I've seen people that actually remove the light bulbs or tape over something so you don't see it. But if you just move that first click without starting the car, all the lights should light up to make sure that there's nothing missing. Once it's there, you start it. Sure, you don't have a check engine light or, you know, ABS brakes. All these are little telltale tales. The car's telling you something's wrong, and it's something you got to watch out for. Make sure you check all the electric windows. The cars have gotten cheaper, and everybody wants power everything. But along with those power everythings, you get a lot more electrical gremlins where stuff doesn't work. And like I said, it might not be a big deal, but make sure all the windows work, and if maybe the back window doesn't work or the passenger side window doesn't work, but you still like the car, you can still deal with it. But it might give you a little leverage if you want to negotiate a little bit better price from what you're buying. And also, don't be scared if a window's out. They've gotten a lot cheaper. It's usually just a running mechanism on the inside. I think you could probably get it fixed for about $150. So don't let it be a deal breaker, but make sure you're aware of it. Maybe you can negotiate the price. So make sure you look at the lights. Make sure all the windows roll up, they roll down, because all that is money, and it's something that you're paying for.
And then you mentioned the AC specifically. I didn't know about the AC.
Yeah, make sure when you turn it on, you turn on the heater first of all, especially if you live up north or where it's cold. To make sure, because I mean I've seen vehicles where the heater core's messed up and they bypass it. And the heater cores, believe it or not, they're not that expensive. You know, you can probably get a used on $50, $100. What it is the labor. I mean, you're almost looking at about $1,000 labor to change the heater core, and that will determine whether you have a heater in the car or not. The other thing is AC. You know, most vehicles now have AC, but when you buy it, sometimes they don't work. See if it's important to you or not. If they tell you, oh yeah, it's just low on Freon, you just got to put some on there. No. If it's not cooling, it is not low on Freon. Freon doesn't run out. It's not, you know, you use it and have to fill it every year. It's the AC is a sealed system. If it's working correctly, it should last, 10 years, 15. I have a vehicle that's probably 15 years old. I've never had to fill it with Freon. That's because it's working. It's a sealed system. If it has low Freon or no Freon, you at least have a leak, and that has to be addressed. And it's not a cheap fix. Probably about $400 or $500 just to get it fixed on something basic. So make sure, if AC is important to you, make sure it works, and don't take the part where, oh, you just need to go take it and put some Freon on it and it'll work. No, if it doesn't have any, you have a leak or something else is wrong with it that can get pretty pricey. So make sure you watch out for that.
Okay, so the final point, I guess, when you're looking to buy a new car, how do you figure out what kind of price range is acceptable for the car you're looking for?
Wow, well, there's so many vehicles out there. I mean, I would recommend like Edmunds. .com. You can double check it. It kind of gives you a price range, or Kelly Blue Book, a price range of what the vehicle is worth and kind of condition. Take that as a starting point. After that, I would start looking at vehicles in your area for the exact same vehicle that you're looking for and price it out that way. Because in some areas, trucks are hot, SUVs are hot. In other areas, cars are worth more than trucks, or vans are worthless. So, Kelly Blue Book and Edmunds is going to give you a good range, and then make sure you narrow it down and search in your area and see what that vehicle or a similar vehicle is going in your area, and you can get that price range there. So that way you can see if you're overpaying, or if it's too cheap, and it's too cheap, and there might be something wrong.
Okay, that looks like that's all of our for the discussion today, but we did, oh wait, I might ask a question at the end. Yes, okay, if you guys have any real quick questions, go ahead and ask. We have to give them a few seconds because there's a delay. But I guess one of the questions we have was your favorite car.
Wow. Well, I mean, my favorite car, my dream car, is actually basically like a 1968 Porsche target top, the one that has the stainless steel in the back. I mean, I always thought I love that car. It's just something about it, you know, sporty, it looks good, and it's still a man's car. Like I said, I'm old school. I like to drive it. I like to know that whatever I'm driving, I can feel the road. Car's turning because I'm turning it. It's braking because I'm braking it. The car's telling me what it feels, and I feel the car. And some of that is lost, especially with the new cars and the new Teslas and all that. It's like you get in there, it's like you're playing a video game. You might as well be sitting at home with a controller or a joystick, and that's your driving experience. I want a little bit different. I want a little bit of interaction, and that's why I like it.
This is okay. So Ty says theirs is an old school Aston Martin DB5. What is that?
DB5, is that the one? I'm not quite sure it is. Is that the a DB5, the one from James Bond? That they used in the movies. If it is a gorgeous car. I think they're going for a couple million now. It's out of the reach of the common man, but it is a gorgeous car. They used it for the James Bond movies.
Oh, that one?
It's gorgeous. That's all I can say. I mean, look at it. It captures a time, a space. I mean, the sexiness of being James Bond to begin with, and thought and effort, and that's kind of part of why I love the old cars, because when you look at it, you know what it was. I mean, you walked up to it, you wouldn't have to read a badge or Google it to see what the heck it is. The new cars now, you can park 3 different cars, or you can go into a parking lot. If it doesn't have a badge, a lot of times you don't even know what it is, because they'll use the same body for different vehicles. Yeah, they changed a couple of lights and a couple of fenders, and it's a new vehicle. Back then, they changed. They had a style. They're so unique, and like I said, it shows off on the drivability, and just looking at their works of art. In my opinion, it captures it.
Okay, so 2 real quick questions, Fei Long Hag. What are some things to look out for if a car has a higher mileage? Are there some cars that might be okay with higher mileages?
Yeah, I mean, all the cars, everybody drives a lot more, so there's a lot of mileage. When you look at a vehicle before, back in the day, if it hit 100,000, the car's worthless, you got rid of it. Uh, Realistically, now you can buy a vehicle 100,000 no problem, 150 no problem. When you start reaching 200, I think it's where the point is that you're gonna have to start thinking about it as either you're gonna have to spend money in the future or you're gonna use it until it dies. 150 is not bad. Like I said, 200, you're pushing it. Some of the vehicles, of course, it depends. Like, and I'm also talking over 150. Yeah, I'm talking a V6 or a V8, a four-cylinder with 150,000 miles. That's a lot of mileage on a four-cylinder. When you have a four-cylinder, they have the engines have to do a lot more work to push a vehicle. When you have a V6 or V8, they have a little bit more power, so uh, those spark plugs get used less because you have more cylinders, you have more power to push it to have it do what you want to. 150 is not bad. Like I said, I have several vehicles and they're all over 200. There's some vehicles like a Jeep Cherokee, for example. I'm talking like a 2000. That thing can go up to 300,000. I've seen cars with 400,000 miles. Absolutely no problem. Are you gonna see that in a cheap economy car? No, you're not gonna see it. But a Chevy Suburban Tahoe with 200,000 miles, it's still gonna go no
It
problem.
looks like the examples are F-150 Toyota, and they're still expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a Toyota, especially like a Toyota truck, and it's got 150,000 miles, it's basically just broken in. I mean, those things will go 300,000 miles with no problem. The one F-150 with 150, yeah, like I said, I've seen them with 250, 300,000. You're okay. Yeah, like I said, it just depends on the price. They're still hefty because they still run. I mean, you get an old Nissan, an old Toyota, they're gonna be priced more than some of the new vehicles. But like I said, for the most part, look it up, do a little research, type in the vehicle that you're looking for, and just say, hey, what's the average mileage on these? And look at them. Like I said, we had a Jeep Cherokee and it had 200,000 when we bought it, and it's still good because I know that those engines were gonna run forever.
I had no idea about that car. Let's see. If you had any more real quick questions, we'll take them up. Maybe like one or two more questions, and then St. Valentine does have to go. Let's see. Feilong, you brought up a Porsche 911 Targa. What is that?
Yeah, that's the one that I wanted, the Porsche 911 Targa, which was my dream car. Um,
I was paying attention, I swear. Let me see. Oh, that's so pretty.
yeah, that's one I love, and especially that
Which color?
any color. I mean, you can't get it wrong. I was lucky enough to find one, and I have one as part of my wish to cars that I have to work on. I have lots of projects, and I do.
Wait, you have a Porsche 911 Targa?
I have a Porsche
That one?
911, yes, but it's not a Targa. I do
Oh.
not have I have a coupe, which is just a 1968 Porsche 911.
Okay.
Closest thing I can get to without that Targa top.
That's Targa top. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, that doesn't look like that one.
Yeah, it looks. You have to go a little older. Like I said,
Okay.
I'm old school.
Has a bunch of nice cars. I'm trying to think of another question I had when you're like shopping around. Okay, so I had no idea about the mileage. I didn't know some cars can actually handle that mileage.
Some they can handle it, like I said, but make sure when you're gonna buy the vehicle, after you check all the cosmetics, make sure nothing's leaking inside the engine. Then you can take the point to let me start uh, inspecting it more. Of course, make sure you turn the vehicle on, listen for any strange noises, make sure it turns on fairly quickly, and drive it. Not only on the regular residentials, make sure you take it on the freeway, make sure nothing's bumping, making noise. All that, like I said, it's your money. You got to make sure you're comfortable buying it. Nobody's going to tell you, you got to get this right now or it's not yours. No, take the time, drive it, enjoy it. Um, Listen to anything on there because once you hand them that money, you drive away, and a week from now, something happens. Those extra 10 minutes could have saved you a lot of money.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have more questions, just a few more statements. So Fei Long's favorite car is a 1986 Porsche 944 Turbo and a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. He says the Mitsubishi sentimental because his dad actually sold it when he was born. Oh my god, what did you sell when you and your brother were born?
Well, when you were born and when I used to take you, and we actually had a 92 Camaro RS that we would start at the beginning of the street, and you get in the passenger seat, and you'd be like, I asked you if you were ready. You said, yeah, and I'd floor it, and we'd hit over 100 miles an hour within a block. And I would just see a smile on your face, and you would giggle. And that was it. But yeah, I remember those 3000 GTs. A friend of mine had one, and we would drive around in it, kind of low and wide. I do like it because it captures the time. And you mentioned an 86 Porsche 944. Yes, of course. Any of those vehicles in the 90s are kind of like what I grew up with and what I drove. And like I said, I remember being in a friend who had an 86 Porsche 944. We thought, the king of the world. And then I also had the opposite with a friend who had a 924 Porsche, and we're always fixing that thing up to get it running. But yeah, the cars should connect with you. It should mean something to you. Yes, it's get to point A to point B, but just how we pick our own clothes to say this is how we feel and this is who we are, a vehicle should also make you feel that way.
Okay, we'll do one last question. Hit over 100 miles allegedly, right? Allegedly.
Yeah, I'm sure it was out of the city limits too, Or was it kilometers? We can't tell.
It was a while ago. All right, so the last final question. Last one for me. Okay, so we have two. Okay, so what's some relatively cheap and non-destructive mods you recommend for your car? Second question is, how's your dad feel about a JDM cars like 90s JDM?
I love them. If I could buy some, awesome. When you see those JDM cars, any of those, it's a time and a place. And like I said, just like people collect different things, I collect cars. So yeah, I love them. Like I said, as long as you show passion for it and that's what you go for it.
And the mods, is non-destructive.
Cheap mods, it's hard to say. There's a lot of mods that say will improve gas mileage or do this and do that. A lot of them are gimmicks. Well, little mods you can do is stuff will enhance your vehicle. I'm not gonna do the stick-on vent hoods and all that other stuff, but if you can upgrade your brakes, of course, upgrade just a K&N filter to improve your air intake. I mean, just little things like that, and take it from there. Of course, you can improve your suspension. But then, it's going to be how much you're going to put into it. You can go crazy and get lowering spindles and upgrade suspension, adjustable, and, engine swaps, blah, blah, blah. There's so much stuff you can do. It's just, where does your budget take you, basically?
Where's the budget? All right. So one of my other dream cars is Nissan Silvia S15, but prices are getting way out of hand.
Oh, yeah. Everything is getting out of hand right now. I mean, that is, I can just tell you, when I was in high school, I guess I'm dating myself. You can pick up a Nova, a 69 Nova, a 68 Chevelle, literally $1,500 or less. When I was in college, I tried to go buy a Trans Am, Smokey and the Bandit. It was $1,500. And as I'm driving away, there's another car, a Mach 1 Mustang, for $750. So you think of those prices now, and you can't touch a Nova for under $8,000 right now, and that's pretty beat up. Fixed up is $30,000. Yeah, I mean, everything's crazy right now. Hell, I'm just trying to do a Volkswagen right now, and they're like $4,000 and not even running with no upholstery. It's crazy. It is crazy. But good thing about the internet is giving us a lot of options for aftermarket parts. Before, it was like you had to chase around the guy who knew a guy who knew another guy who had that,
those.
who had a part that you looked at. Or I would remember spending hours at the junkyard trying to find your part. Now you just sit in your pajamas, sit in front of the computer, and click away and see what you can afford.
Would you recommend LS swapping a Prius?
Well, if you're gonna LS swap anything, I don't think I would waste it on a Prius. Just personal opinion. You know, how about a 69 C10 or something? Something that a little bit more manly.
All right, that is enough questions. Saint is a very busy man, but if you have any more questions, feel free to just comment under the VOD. And then if you want to see Saint have a YouTube channel in the future, also comment that too. But thank you everybody for joining us. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, and or evening, whichever part of the world you're in. Bye, everybody. Your dad say bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, taking the time, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Okay, bye. Hold on, let me... Okay, bye-bye. Over your LS swapping a Tesla. Okay, bye.